What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. A big thank you for coming back and joining me on another episode of the Arsenal Save. If you've been with us across the past couple of episodes, you'd have seen that we have been back-to-back Premier League champions, and in this, the final season, we are now having a push to try and get that all-elusive Champions League trophy. In today's episode, we have pushed forwards. It's the 1st of January 2026, and that means that we have gone through to the start of the winter transfer window. I'm going to bring you up to date with everything that's been going on at the club. So we're going to show you the schedule, we're going to run you through the competitions tab, I'm going to show you what finances we have for the January transfer window, and a quick rundown of what the squad looks like in terms of our best 11 going forwards. So let's jump on in and show you exactly how we've been getting on as we hit the schedule tab and have a run through everything that's happened since you were last with us. Okay, then we have opened up the schedule tab. Let's have a rundown of everything that's happened since you've been away at the club. So we left off at the 2-0 victory against Wolverhampton Wanderers. We had taken 9 points from 9 in the Premier League, and we continued on into September in really good form. Firstly, beating Nottingham Forest 1-0 with a goal from Jude Bellingham. We then opened the Champions League campaign with a 7-1 victory against Maccabi Tel Aviv. Odegaard, Saka, Immobile and Bellingham getting on the score sheet there. We beat Aston Villa 3-0 in the Premier League. They came to the Emirates and left empty-handed. Immobile, Odegaard and Dybala getting the goals, and former Birmingham player Joe Bellingham getting sent off against Aston Villa. West Ham, we swept them aside, beating them 4-1 in the Carabao Cup third round. We had a changed team, but it was the normal first teamers getting on the score sheet: Odegaard, Bellingham and Almada. Tottenham were up next, and we drew 2-2 in a game where we really didn't deserve anything, but it meant that we rounded the month out with an unbeaten record. If you look at some of the stats here, they had 32 shots, 13 of which were on target. We had 6 and 2. And football can be cruel sometimes, because despite all of that, we managed to get away with a point. So they scored the first goal. Williams with the ball out wide, lays it into the path of Kane, who smashes it past Aaron Ramsdale. They then extend their lead to 2-0 when Yeremy Pino hits a shot from the underside of the bar. But in the second half, we do start to turn things around. Skip with a loose ball, Bellingham picks it up and he smashes one like a rocket into the top corner from distance to make it 2-1. And then 85 minutes on the clock, ball is played forward, Zinchenko gets in down the right, cuts back, crosses it with his left foot, and there is Dybala to tap in to make it 2-2. So probably a smash and grab effort, but it meant that we got out of Tottenham with a point and our unbeaten run intact. So going into October, we continued winning 3-0 against Red Bull Leipzig. Almeida, Jesus and Pozo with goals there. Beat Fulham 2-1 in the Premier League with goals from Immobile and Pozo. Julian Draxler for Fulham. But unfortunately, our undefeated start to the season came crashing down as we played Manchester City at the Etihad. They scored 3 goals from Haaland and Laporte, and it meant that we rounded off probably our worst performance of the season with a 3-0 loss, not a victory. Deluded a little bit there to lose 3-0 and try and claim it was a victory. No. Victory, though, did come in the next game. We won 6-1 against PSV, so the Champions League seems to be where it's at for us, both in terms of scoring goals and picking up wins. Jesus, Bellingham, Scalvini, Almada and Immobile getting on the score sheet there. Beat Watford 5-3 in the Premier League. Goals from Jesus, Sobolai, Immobile, Saka, getting us 3 points against Watford. And finally, to round out the month of October, we won 3-0 in the Carabao Cup fourth round, beating Aston Villa with goals from Yusufa Moukoko and Muad Juma scoring on his first team debut. Going into November then, we were riding high. However, we couldn't get past West Brom. Scored early enough, Dominic Sobola after 30 minutes, but Erkan Kara scoring a penalty made it 1-1. We then, back in the Champions League, back to winning ways. A 3-1 victory against Seville. Thiago Almada and Gabriel Jesus getting the goals. Augustinson scoring for Seville. We beat Stoke, who are newly promoted back to the Premier League, with 3-1. Ciro Immobile getting a hat-trick in that game. Tyrese Campbell scoring late on. And then further on into the month, played against Brentford in the Premier League. We drew 1-1. And then we lost 2-1 to Bayern Munich in the Champions League, where we were 2-0 down after 28 minutes and Immobile got one back. However, we managed to turn it around this time in the Premier League. The next game was against Chelsea and we won that game 3-0. Let's have a little look at some of the goals from that game. So Odegaard and Immobile getting the goals. And in this one, unlike the previous game I showed you the highlights from, the Tottenham game, we do put up much more of a fight. Obviously, winning 3-0. First goal coming from Odegaard. Zinchenko with the ball through. Odegaard smashes it past the goalkeeper. The next one is Thiago Almada bringing the ball forwards. Plays it over the top. There is Immobile to take the ball into his stride. And for a 35-year-old, he's still got a fantastic touch and a smashing finish. And then in the second half, Szoboszlai playing the ball out to Zinchenko. He cuts past one man, crosses it in. And Immobile getting the deflected goal, but they all count, don't they? So Immobile getting the second there. So as I said, a much better performance. We managed to have 11 shots, 7 on target this time around. Chelsea had 19 and 7, but getting the ball in the back of the net is what is important, and we got 3 more points. A 0-0 draw with Manchester United followed that. Bit of a boring game. Kieran Tierney was sent off right on the stroke of half time, so we had to kind of drop off and were passive throughout the game, but did get out with a 0-0 draw. And then unfortunately the wheels kind of fell off. Going into the month of December, we were dreadful. We lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace away from home. We lost 2-1 in the Champions League away from home at Atletico Madrid. Southampton then came to the Emirates and beat us 4-1. Goals from Wendell, Diop, Che Adams and Jan Bednarak. Ciro Immobile scoring for ourselves. And then Manchester United rounded off a miserable couple of weeks. We went to Old Trafford and they just turned us over. 4-0, way too strong. Sancho, Varane, Calvert-Lewin and Rashford getting the goals inside 48 minutes. And we were a little bit embarrassing. Up next though, we did start to turn it back around, and we do finish December a lot stronger than what we started it. We got a 1-0 win against Leeds, and that kind of stopped the rot really. Leon Goretzka scoring after 36 minutes. And then Everton came to the Emirates, and we got a 1-1 draw. Gabriel Jesus giving us the lead, and Wout Weghorst getting the equaliser. So you can see we started off in great fashion and went on that big unbeaten run, but the wheels really did start to fall off in December. Luckily for us, we're now 2 games unbeaten once again, so hopefully going into January and after this video, we're going to start to pick the form back up, because we're going to need it in terms of the Premier League, and also, as I said, we are chasing that Champions League. So let's have a look at how that leaves us in terms of the competitions. Okay, then let's have a run through of the competitions tab. You can see in the Premier League, we are in 4th place. We are 5 points behind Manchester United, who lead the way. We are also 3 points behind Liverpool, but they have played a game more. In the Champions League, we are inside the qualification group. We are in 8th place. We have 12 points from 6 games. We have a goal difference of 14 in the Champions League, so we're doing all right there. In the FA Cup, we don't join to the 3rd round, which is after this video, so it's in 10 days time. Carabao Cup, we were knocked out in the quarterfinals by Manchester United, and at the start of the season we won the Community Shield. So let's break down the Premier League a little bit more and show you what has happened in terms of that. So if we hit the stages tab, you can see that in terms of our won-loss record so far, we've played 18, won 10, drew 5, lost 3. We have scored 31, conceded 21. We only have a 10 goal difference, and that is kind of what is holding us back a little bit. You saw in the Champions League we were scoring 6s and 7s. In the Premier League it's been very, very different. We haven't really had the goals that I thought we would have, and our defence also isn't as good as I thought it would be. When you look at the likes of Man United, Liverpool and Wolves, who are above us, all conceding less than 20 goals, and we have conceded 21. So 35 points from 18 games is nothing to be sniffed at though. We are bang there in terms of everything going on in the Premier League. You can see Ciro Immobile coming into the club. A lot of people would have said, oh, he's too old, you can't sign him, don't blah blah blah. He scored 11 goals already. I mean, Erling Haaland has scored 31 goals in 18 games, as you do when you're Erling Haaland. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think he might be a little bit too overpowered on the game. But I suppose if you're playing as Man City, you love it. If you're playing against Man City, Not so much so. Lukaku is more realistic on 14, and then Immobile on 11. I'm quite happy with the return of my own striker. The only other player in there really is Bukayo Saka on 6 yellow cards, and Kieran Tierney has covered 15.36 kilometres over 90 minutes, and that is second only to Molina. So that's how the Premier League is stacking up. If we go back to the competitions tab and have a quick look at the Champions League in a bit more detail, here it is then. So you can see it's Bayern, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Newcastle, Milan, PSG, Atletico, and then ourselves above the mighty Barcelona. There are a few other teams down there that you might have thought would have been higher up the table, but as I said, we had some really good form at the start of the Champions League. I've been happy with the way we have been performing in that. Kind of haven't took my eye off the ball in the Premier League, but certainly in the Champions League, that is the one that I want to go for. So we are headed towards another transfer window. Let's have a look in the finances tab and the club vision and show you how much money we've got to spend and what the board think of the job we're doing so far. So first up then, let's have a brief glimpse at the finances and show you what we have inside of here. So the club have an overall balance of £44.5 million. They've given us a transfer budget of £66.5 million. So I'm very, very tempted to try and go out and maybe just buy that 1 or 2 players that, as I keep saying, are going to enhance the squad. Not really overhaul at this stage, considering we have half a season left. But if we've got somebody who we can go out and I think will improve the team or can plug a gap in a position that we need, then I'm definitely going to go and try and spend that £66 million. In terms of the wage budget, it's £4.25 million. We're only spending 3.9, so well within side of that. So plenty of money to play around if we do go and sign somebody who is a top class performer. Looking at the rest of the finances then, we have everything in control. We are inside of the financial fair play for the Premier League, also inside of the Champions League financial fair play, so nothing to worry about money wise. Looking at the club vision then quickly, actionable objectives, on course to work within the wage budget as I just said, sign players to sell for a profit. I think we're actually doing that despite the club only being satisfied. Grow the club's reputation, I think we're doing that, winning the Premier League. Obviously if we win it again this season, it'll be the 3rd time in a row, and I don't think that's happened to Arsenal ever. Maybe if anybody is an Arsenal fan watching, they can correct me in the comment section, but I don't think they won it 3 times in a row, even under Arsene Wenger. Grow the club's reputation, we are doing that as I just said. Spend the original transfer budget. They're delighted because we spent money at the start of the season. Now we still have money to spend coming to the end of the season. The board think we have a B- doing our job. They are pleased with our management of the team, pleased with the attacking football, disappointed about the set pieces, play entertaining football pleased, and pleased about counter-attacking football. In terms of the supporters, C+. So they are firstly disappointed about the set pieces and disappointed about finishing above Manchester United in the league. So obviously after 18 games, the supporters have already got it in their heads, we can't overturn the deficit that we have to Manchester United and we aren't going to finish above them. Okay, let's see about that. Other than that though, play attacking football pleased, play entertaining football very pleased, play high tempo football, they are pleased. Finish above Tottenham, pleased. Become the most reputable team in the country, pleased. Finish above Chelsea in the league, pleased, and then qualify for the UEFA Champions League on course. So everything going well, job security is secure, and I think we are on course to have another good season. If we can just start to pick up a few more points and close that gap ahead of us, that C+ will soon be changing. So let's lastly have a little look at the squad and the squad planner and just show you where we are going to look to maybe try and plug 1 or 2 gaps and what our best 11 is going into the second half of the season. Here we go then, in terms of our assistant report, this is what they are saying is our best 11. So it's Ramsdale in goal, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba and White, Bellingham and Goretzka, Saka on the right, Almada now on the left, Odegaard and Gabriel Jesus. And they're saying that Jesus is our star player. It's hard to disagree with that lineup. I personally am trying to rotate a few other players in, But if it all comes back down to it, I believe that probably is our best 11. The only one I could see I might change is Zinchenko for Tierney, and then maybe Schlotterbeck would get in the back three, maybe ahead of White, maybe ahead of Saliba. I'm not too sure. I'd probably put Almada inside, but then that obviously leaves Odegaard nowhere to go. And then we've also got Dybala, who we've got to try and get in the team. So it is a case of having to rotate the team as much as possible. Looking at the best 11 in terms of the squad planner. So it's now saying Ramsdale, Zinchenko, Scalvini, Saliba and White. So interesting that Scalvini doesn't get into the assistant report, but Billy McKinley seems to think he should be in there. Bellingham, Goretzka, that's the same. Saka on the right is the same. And Almada, Odegaard and Gabriel Jesus. So they think that basically those players could be interchangeable at the back, which is what I said. I think Schlotterbeck also deserves a place in there. Scalvini, I know exactly why he's there, because he's still growing as a player and he has that potential to come through. And then in terms of the midfield, that is pretty much set, but I do think we are going to need another midfielder, because Bellingham and Goretzka are picking up knocks here and there, playing a lot of game time, and I think we just need one more body that we can put in there. I know Odegaard could drop back, but then maybe we could sign an attacking midfielder, but we'll see where we go and what's available in the market. Right then, that is another episode complete. If you're at this point of the video and you are still with me, firstly, a big thank you. I really do appreciate every single person that comes and interacts with these videos. If you don't mind hitting the like and subscribe button to help the channel to grow even further, I really do appreciate every single person that takes the time to do that. Before you go, don't forget to check out the rest of the channel. There is something for everybody. We have hints, tips, wonder kids, let's plays, tutorials, something really for everybody. Go and check some other content out. But for this one, I'm going to leave it there. Come back and join me soon on the next episode of the Arsenal Save.